Welcome to the Can Innovate podcast, where we highlight Canadian innovators who are changing the game. I'm Sapna Malhotra, your proud Canadian host. I'm actually really excited about this episode because there's a big call out for beta testers, so this is an early stage, so we can get in there and to help shape this. But before I do get into that episode, I want to thank, of course, our Can Innovate podcast sponsor, WeWork Canada. WeWork Canada has expanded, and my goodness, there is like holiday parties now in 2 locations in Toronto. I definitely took advantage of that. So they have the 2 offices, one on Richmond Street, one on Bloor Street, and of course they have the offices in Vancouver and Montreal. And for those, again, that don't know who WeWork is, they are a community of creators that aim to help companies grow by providing them with not just beautiful space, but also the beautiful amenities, the benefits, the professional community that you need to focus on your business. They have different types of networking events and different topics all the time. I mean, a couple weeks ago, I just attended one about the blockchain. So they're always keeping us up to speed. So not only do they have great coffee and hot chocolate, because it is getting cold in Toronto, they even have the beer on tap, and they really do have those different types of opportunities for you to continue to learn what's kind of going on in the industry. So if you haven't had a chance to go check out WeWork, go to the website, wework.com, for more information and book the tour. I'll put the link in the show notes as usual. Now, this week's episode is really exciting. It's about Sprout, and it's from actually the Mars Institute that they've been doing some work there. So it actually came from one of the referrals from one of our listeners about, talking about the Sprout Financial. And really, Matt really gets down in the dirty details and discusses about how the Canadian household debt has been consistently increasing and how millennials are missing that financial literacy. And himself, being a millennial, he's actually figured out a way to apply gamification to help consumers manage their money cycles. Plus, he even talks about how we should eat our frogs first. Anyways, there's so much more. So stay tuned for the episode. So we are really lucky today. We have Matt Hernandez, who is an avid traveler, has backpacked through most of Asia with the goal of hitting every continent. That is a mighty goal indeed. He even taught English in South Korea for 3 years. Matt is a former accredited financial advisor and has been in the financial industry for 5+ years now, and now is bringing Sprout Financial to life. Did I miss anything in that introduction?
Sapna, that was a great introduction, actually. You covered pretty much everything.
Excellent. So how did this idea sprout about?
Well, funny you should ask. So Spro really came from back in the days when I was a financial advisor. To kind of just give a little background, I was a full-service financial advisor. So really what that just means is that I did everything from your cash management, which would be your bank accounts, credit cards, kind of just setting that up. Credit, so whether you needed a loan, a car loan, a mortgage, line of credit. I looked at investments and investment plans, so making sure that you understood your risk, your time frames. Looking at retirement plans, people, kind of want to know, are they on track? What can they do to make sure they hit things? So that kind of was the background. So I got to experience a lot of different people, everything from people that were right around retirement, people that were just about to have families and kids, people that were just in university, just getting set up. So it gave me a very well-rounded kind of idea of what financial planning and advice was. And Sprout really came from a gap that I found. And it was really that it didn't matter whether an individual made $30,000 a year or they made $300,000 a year. Many times they came to me and it was apparent that they just made money and they spent it. They never really thought too much about it. They didn't really think about the future. They didn't think about what does it really mean to owe money back to people. And eventually life would happen and they didn't have the cash. And that's kind of was the start of, they needed a line of credit or this or that. And that slippery slope that a lot of people kind of know about was really where Spro came from, is that people didn't know how to manage their money. They didn't have any system. They just basically looked at their bank account balances and said, hey, I have money in there. I can afford this. I can buy this. Like, look, my money's right there. And I think that was really one of the biggest, downfalls that I found, that's not really a system. That's just saying, hey, I think I have money, but they're never really thinking about, what payments are coming out next week. And that was really the big aha for me, was that a lot of people's problems had to do with the timing of their money. And that's really kind of where Spro came from.
But this is great. So how does this kind of differentiate from going to traditional banks then? Like, walk me through the experience. What would this look like? Would it feel very different from the norm of an experience?
With Spro, what we're really trying to do, we're not really competing with banks. What I'm really trying to do is help people get from 0 to 1. And people kind of laugh when I say that, because I'm not thinking 0 to 100, because that's kind of, what everybody thinks about. It's really just saying, if you line up these couple ducks in a row here, you're going to be 95% better off than everybody else. Then we can start building once you're at 1. So one of the biggest differences for Sprout is that we implore our users to really start thinking about our money cycles. From the personalization and learning about our users, we then recommend certain money cycles. So I'll give you an example. John, who makes $55,000 a year, lives in Toronto. He's a huge foodie, doesn't own a car, and does all this kind of transit through subway, bus, TTC, all that. We really look at when is the money coming in for him, and saying, well, let's then start thinking about money that way. So don't think about your monthly expenses if you get paid weekly. Don't think about your annual salary. Think about your after tax, how much money is really in your pocket, so that you can do all the things you want to do, whether it's enjoy food, go with your friends, or even just save for an upcoming trip. The money cycle aspect of what Spro brings, I think, is the biggest differentiator. So if you're going to go out on the weekend and you want to make sure that you only spend X amount of dollars, well, you can customize and set your money cycle for 2 days and track everything, give yourself some income, and see how you did. Whether 2 days, whether it's 5 days, whether it's 17 days, that's kind of the part that we try to bring to the knowledge and the tool together to say, this is a great way to think about how you should look at your money, and here's the tool that's going to allow you to do it very easily.
So for me to utilize Sprout, it sounds pretty simple. So do I just go onto a website to log into it, or is there a different way?
Well, no. So right now what we're doing is we are a pre-launch startup. So we were going to be launching here in actually a few weeks. We're poising ourselves for the New Year's resolution crowd, time to clean the slate, time to look at things we want to do better. And it's going to be available as an app. So we're primarily going to be going to Apple, iTunes, as well as the App Store, as well as the Google Play Store. So that's where we're going to be releasing.
Fantastic. I love that idea. It's a New Year's resolution, and it's on my phone, so I can actually save some money and see what's kind of going on. Every time I find an app, I always seem like it feels like a game.
Right, exactly. It's something new, and one of our biggest kind of foundational philosophies is we got to keep things easy. A lot of times, traditionally, finances and money is boring, not fun, and a lot of times can be a source of discomfort for people. Sometimes, they don't like talking about their money. So we're really just trying to lighten the mood on it, saying, it doesn't have to be so serious. Like, obviously you need to know what you're doing, and that's what we want to help you do. But we want people to know that most people, and I have kind of the numbers to talk about it later, but most people have the same issues and problems, and you're not alone. A lot of people have a lot of debt and they don't know what to do. They feel a little bit helpless, and that's really where we want to kind of step in and bridge that gap.
No, that's going to be fun. And that is true for the Canadian economy especially, right? There's so many different things that are happening that they have different banks, different institutions that they're utilizing, but do they get a real 360 view of what's actually happening?
Right. The biggest thing that I see in the industry as a whole, one that I'm a little bit worried about, and it's kind of one of the things that really motivates us here at Sprout, is I keep the Canadian household debt number kind of front and center. A lot of people don't know what that is, but to kind of just give you the very Coles notes is Canadians have $1.68 in debt for every dollar of disposable income. So disposable income is obviously the money you have after taxes, after deductions. And it's been consistently increasing year after year. And for me, coming from a financial professional, it's just very worrisome. And being able to see people that had issues or problems and then being able to help them, really being able to see, the actual stress fall off of their shoulders when I presented, hey, this is what we're going to do. Here's your plan. We need to stick to it and you're going to be fine, is really one of the biggest motivating factors that we have. The other one is basically just, my generation, us millennials. A stat that always stood out in my head is that over 50% of us don't have $1,000 in savings. And I know that might sound ludicrous to some of the older generations, but when you kind of really understand how easy it is to spend money, how easily credit is given to us, and we don't have that financial literacy backing, really understanding the implications of what it really means to pay 20% interest on a credit card, that's what really, drives us to say, listen, you need to know what's going on, and here's a tool that's going to at least kind of get you started.
No, that's a really valid point, right? I didn't actually consider that. I didn't even realize that the number was so high that people don't have that, $1,000 in savings. And I guess it's easy. You're right. It is easier to spend money in this generation than it was before with this whole tap and go. Right?
Exactly.
Right? You don't have that. It's just too easy to spend. It's like a game at that point too. And so you don't have that concept of saving for a rainy day. So.
Right. No, exactly. And when it's funny that you say, it's kind of like a game, is one of the core foundational differentiators that Spro, when you compare it to, let's say, like a Mint or, Level Money or any type of budgeting app, is we are trying to we are gamifying the design. So the foundational principles of money management that I understand, we are meshing that together with gamification.
Wow. Now that sounds cool. Yeah. Like what? Like Angry Birds or Candy Crush?
The vision is if we could make it as fun as Angry Birds, I would definitely try to. But there's not a lot of too much fun sometimes with this stuff. But really what it comes down to is the habits that we have when it comes to our finances. And at Spro, we believe, and I believe, that there's just certain little things you can do that if you kind of habitualize, a couple things like checking, how much money you actually have to spend in a day, setting, micro goals versus long-term goals. It's just going to make you feel better. It's going to lower your stress. It's going to make you think about money differently. And ultimately, it's going to lead to making better financial decisions. So what Spro wants to do is not only facilitate all of that, but make it fun. So being able to track your progress, personalizing your own goals. As Sprout learns about you, we want to send out personalized goals to you and really kind of build on it from there. We're a very customer user focused company, so we have a lot of ideas here that we want to get out and start testing with our target market to really figure out which ones they value and which ones they don't, because at the end of the day, that's who we're trying to serve.
Are you looking for testers? So maybe that could be a call to action for some of our listeners that may want to test things out.
Definitely. So what we're looking for are people that, have questions about what's going on with their finances, how they can actually manage their money, even if it has to do with other things like debt, investments. We are basically right now in the stage where we're, if you go to www.savewithsprout.com, it's our lander, throw on your email address and we'll be contacting you. And you'd also get to on the early access to the app as well when we launched our MVP, to start basically getting feedback from, early users that see the value, and we'd love to hear from those people, because we really want to make sure that we are attacking not only the big problems but the little nuances and things that they would see in their day-to-day that we want to help with.
Excellent. So I'll put that definitely in the show notes and put a call out for that you're looking for beta testers, and hopefully you'll get some good responses to help you with this journey.
That any help is much appreciated. That'd be great.
So Matt, you've got so much knowledge. What exactly is exciting you most about this industry?
Definitely just coming from the traditional side and seeing the disruption. I think the disruption in the financial industry was long overdue. And it's amazing time right now. Whether you're on the credit side, the payment side, if you're on the blockchain side, there's just so many different things going on. So I think the disruption is really exciting, and the growth potential to just how technology is allowing us to connect in so many different ways. It's really going to transform. Like, I don't think we're going to recognize, banking and financial planning and everything that kind of has to do with the fintech world 5 years ago, and give out another about 20 years. I don't think we're going to recognize it. And the last part would be, I like to see how it's kind of part of like tech kind of in general, but the collaboration. I think it's not, hey, cutthroat this and we're doing this and that. I see so many examples of companies coming together, having, sharing information, whether they're, trying to help somebody here or there. The collaboration in the industry is huge just because of how the Canadian market is really set up, that we have, major dominant financial players that are financial banking institutions, and they kind of are the pillars of the economy. Being able to collaborate and open up some of those channels is just going to really accelerate how quickly we can, help people.
Oh, that's amazing. That is really good stuff. I love how the fact that you picked up the disruption in the fintech. And for those that don't know what fintech is, it's just financial technology, financial services technology, and how it's really enabling us to do things bigger, brighter, better, faster, easier, much more simplified terms. So it's a huge thing that's happening in Canada all over the place. And especially that Canada's seen as really strong with our financial services. When the financial services downturn happened in 2008, Canada was very well positioned that we didn't have that big hit because of our systems and regulations and so on. So we already had a great basis to kind of really build on, because we already are seen as thought leaders in that area.
All right, you hit the nail on the head there. Exactly. The 2008, 2009 financial crisis was really an eye-opener. And I think why, even myself and my team were so passionate about this is because, we were at that tail end, whether finishing university or just finishing. And you really just saw a lot of the horror stories where people put a lot of trust in these, institutions, whether it be their retirement plans or, financial institutions, banks or whatnot. And, things were wiped out. All their money's gone. And it's really devastating. It's an emotional time. So I think our generation really listens to that, and we want to know more. Like, we want to understand. Like, I believe transparency is huge when understanding anything to do with finances. So that's kind of the biggest thing I think is going to change is everything that was kind of behind the curtain is coming to the forefront, whether it's how they work, how they make money, what the long-term investments they're trying to make. And that's our role to play. It's to say, we are either on board with that or not, because I do believe again in the traditional business that it's all about the customer. So if the customers come together and say, that's not good enough for us, that's what you got to do.
Excellent. Well, that is great insights. So speaking of help, I know that you guys were working with the Mars Innovation Hub, and how did you tap into that? What was that experience like?
Well, it was kind of funny how when you're on this, kind of startup journey where there's so many different avenues and pieces you need to think about. Well, you're always searching, you're always looking at different service providers, different, YouTube videos of people talking about different things, podcasts. I kind of it just fell on my lap that they were launching their first ever Entrepreneurship 101 course. And, kind of funny as it be, I think I found it at about 9 or 10 o'clock at night, and it was starting the next day. And I thought it was like a magical kind of miracle sent there to one of my ad blocks that all of a sudden, it was there. So I decided, what, this sounds like it's going to provide a really good framework to organize all of the kind of jumble that's in my head and all the different things I've been trying to organize. And the experience has been amazing. It's an amazing 5-week course where they really break down the steps in terms of how you should approach, validating your idea, talking to your target market, building your minimum viable product, and going from there. So for any aspiring entrepreneur, whether they're in the idea stage, the creation stage, or the validation stage, or growth stage, it's definitely a great resource. You get paired up with a lot of you get to just meet a lot of people that are doing the same thing. They want to know. They might just have an idea. They might already be in production, but it's nice to be with like-minded people. You get a lot of there's a lot of people there that are just willing to help, which is amazing.
No, that's fantastic. So was there any other types of tools that you were able to leverage as well, or is there anything you kind of wished you had?
Tools in our world, tools there's thousands of them, right? And one of the main ones that I thought from being from the CEO perspective, where you're constantly thinking about just so many different facets, the development, the production, how are we going to talk with customers, even some of your baseline strategic ideas, the growth, the partnerships. I found Trello to be super easy to use. where I could just organize, my cards in ways that I thought of more strategic ideas and businesses and like business ideas that I needed to think about, or actual to-do lists and actions. I could set, really quickly, who needs to be involved in this specific project, or I need to talk to them, and we put deadlines, and you could really just keep track of things very quickly. So to me, that was a huge help, because then I would go review that, and in a few days, specific things, I kind of have my own schedule where I review my ideas after I think about them, and then try to validate them. And as opposed to having 15 notebooks with scribble all over them and 500 bookmarks of things I want to do, it really just provides a really simple framework, especially for me, that most of what I do is on my phone. I probably am on a laptop only about 5% of the week. Then the rest is on my phone. So I need something that really works well in my hand.
Nice. I'm going to definitely download that. So do you have any other advice that you might provide to other aspiring or budding Canadian innovators that are trying to get into either the fintech space or just in general, having their own startup?
Yeah, no, definitely. I think advice. Oh, you really put me on the spot here.
Don't worry.
No, I would honestly, I would say get off your ass and start building the world you want to see. Like, to be honest, people really take a back seat and they think that someone else is going to do it for them. And, that just comes obviously from my experience from traveling, from, being on my own, to, going from Chatham, Ontario, to South Korea, pretty much almost the other side of the world, to really just figure myself out and to figure things out where, the world is the world. It's going to keep moving with or without you. So if you really want to see something change, get out there. Right now we live in the best time ever, especially for entrepreneurship. The movement has never been stronger. There's so many resources. There's so many free and inexpensive resources that get out there. And I would just urge people to just start trying, the 10 steps to do this, or, this guide to do that. Because at the end of the day, whether it's the all-encompassing, holy grail, or it's just you pull out one piece of information from it, it's valuable. And that's the name of the game, is taking in information, trying to see how it's going to help you, discard the stuff that doesn't, and move forward with the experience that you got. And there are so many people, to be honest, I've been very blessed to think that every time I've asked some random financial blogger about something, they've really engaged with me. So I think people are there. If you're really sincere and you want to learn, they will talk to you. They'll give you advice. People love telling their story. So yeah, definitely the advice at the end of the day is just get out of the house, get out of the condo, get out of the office, wherever you are, and start talking to the people that you think would benefit from your idea, and go from there.
That's amazing. It's like you're channeling Gary Vee. Just do it already.
Well, it's actually funny that you say that, because I do watch a lot of Gary Vee. He's probably one of the biggest kind of social guys that I follow on Snapchat and YouTube, and it's always good to have those kind of influencers in your back pocket when you kind of hit a trough or you're kind of in a down mood. It's always nice to be able to just flip somebody on that is high energy and that kind of understands what you're going through.
So is there any other types of words that he uses that helps you with that eureka moment to help you stay focused?
I would definitely say, yeah, like I would, there's definitely a couple people that I consistently kind of follow and listen to. Yeah, Gary Vee would definitely be number one. I also listen to, I've been on the self-help thing before it was even cool, kind of when I was back in university. Tony Robbins is huge. That guy's story is so amazing. Like I really love hearing how people started and the challenges and the issues that they had at first, and basically how they overcame them, because that's kind of what stage I'm in at right now. So those are the people that I really gravitate to. Sometimes when I just want to blow my mind and think about something that I really don't understand, I listen to Sadhguru. He's an Indian yogi and mystic. And sometimes the stuff he's talking about is so over my head, but it really it just kind of puts everything into perspective sometimes, where there's a lot of other things going on that just helps ground me. Yeah. So those three I definitely would say are my top go-tos.
Excellent. So do you have any books that you're currently reading or podcasts, that you're listening to, or something that you recommend for others?
Yeah, definitely. I definitely would say from a book perspective, I'm kind of traditional in the sense that you need to have a good foundation. And I believe one of the best books I've ever read, and I think I've probably read it a handful of times, was How to Win Friends and Influence People. That's one of my favorites. I think that really just surmises, business culture. And to think that this, book was written so long ago and it applies still to this day is amazing. One book that I recently just read that was pretty just eye-opening and wild was Shoe Dog, the Phil Knight story, founder of Nike. And that guy's journey to make Nike what it was insane. Like every dollar that he had every time sold, like he would sell the shoes and every dollar he got back all got plowed back into buying more shoes. They sell them, buy them. And that actually went on for almost 10 years. So that guy lived in the most uncomfortable space that I've ever read about a human living in, with so much angst, anxiety, where the next day everything could fold for many, many years. And I just love hearing about those types of stories, to think, we only see Nike as, the grand, company it is now. But to really know the foundation of how that got up started is amazing. So I would definitely recommend that.
I'm going to definitely read that myself. It sounds pretty cool. Now that you're juggling like multiple hats, being the CEO, from development to production to execution to everything, do you have a personal habit that helps you stay productive?
Yeah, there's a couple. In this type of environment, obviously, you need to keep your energy high. You need to keep the motivation going. It's very easy to get discouraged sometimes if you see that, oh, maybe this other company is doing something similar, or, oh, this is already, happening here. Kind of just really keep yourself grounded and say, we are different and we're just going to keep pushing ahead. I'd say the biggest productivity hack, I guess I could say, is eat your frogs first. And what that really means is, when you look at your day, whatever the thing is that you dread the most to do it first. Just get it out of the way. Be it the first thing you do, because then the rest of the day is going to go a lot better. that's the way I see it. So that one for sure. And just to kind of play on that is your daily to-do list. You need to know what you're doing today, what you want to accomplish, your goals. Keep them front and center so that you can check them off. There's something very powerful with scratching off or checking off something that you accomplished, whether it's minute or whether it's big. It really keeps you going. So definitely I'd say eat your frogs first and make sure you have your daily to-do list.
I love that. Eat your frogs first. I'm going to have to put that on a sticky note in front of me so I pay to remind myself to stay focused. Not that you have a lot of downtime. So do you have a favorite Canadian hotspot, city, restaurant, or some sort of delight that you like to kind of indulge in?
Yeah, you're right when it talks about, when you're saying that I don't have a lot of downtime. There's a lot of things going on in my personal life as well that we're trying to juggle. Actually, my wife is pregnant.
Oh wow! Congratulations.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's definitely kind of scary, but it's definitely something that we both want. And so just kind of having that balance, I think the breaks are definitely super important. So I'd say the biggest thing to kind of, when I get away, is getting away with my family. Just whether it's being in my mom's backyard while we're barbecuing and hanging out, or being on my family's boat where we're just kind of hanging out in the Mitchell's Bay Lighthouse area here in southwestern Ontario. It's just really trying to take the breaks when they come and really enjoy them and unplug. Definitely Canadian delight. I don't know how Canadian is, but I'm definitely a huge taco guy. Like, I love Mexican food, so I definitely would say, here in Windsor we have some amazing food. Windsor's really known for its authentic kind of food, Italian food, pizza, Mexican food, Lebanese, Indian. Like, we have it all here. So I'm a huge nacho guy. All my friends would attest that my secondary business, if this doesn't pan out, or I've always talked about since I was in high school, is having a nacho cheese empire. So I definitely love my nacho supremes.
Oh, I love that. Now I've got a craving for nachos.
That's what happens. That's all it takes. That's all it takes. Somebody talks about nachos, and then you're like, I'd love some nachos.
Oh, that's fantastic. And finally, how can our listeners connect with you?
The easiest way to connect with us would be to go to our lander, www.savewithsprout.com. Throw in your email address, and we'll basically be in contact with you instantly. Where we have our Facebook as well, Twitter and Snapchat, which is the same thing. It's all savewithsprout.com. So it's just Facebook /savewithsprout, or if you're on Instagram, instagram.com /savewithsprout, or if you're on Twitter, twitter.com/savewithspro.
Fantastic. I'll put that all in the show notes.
Awesome.
Thank you so much for this.
No, definitely. I really appreciate the opportunity to get the word out, and I really look forward to just kind of going on this journey and helping everybody, and really producing something of value that people are going to use every day effortlessly, and it's really going to help them out.
Excellent. Well, we'll definitely put out the call to action for the beta testers as well.
Awesome. That's awesome. I appreciate it. Thanks so much.
Cheers.
All right. Bye.
Thanks again for joining us this week. I know that time is precious, so I'm always very thankful for everyone's time. And again, I cannot say thank you enough to our fantastic sponsors, WeWork Canada. If you haven't had a chance to check out the tour and you're looking for a place and a community to be a part of, go to WeWork.com. It's really fantastic. And other than that, I know we're getting close to the holidays, so I wish you all a very happy and healthy holiday season, and stay tuned for next week. Cheers.